am reconvening the October 28th, 2021 meeting of the Montgomery County Election Board and calling it to order. Do we have any election board comments? Okay, hearing none, I will ask for any public comment on items appearing on the agenda. There's no one there, so we'll move on to our next agenda item, which is the appointment of temporary poll workers. Ms. Sawyer.
Good morning, commissioners. I am here today for a couple of things. First up, the appointment of temporary poll workers. Section 2675 of the Election Code permits the Board of Elections to temporarily appoint qualified individuals to fill any vacancies occurring at any time in the 5 days preceding an election. The board made their first appointments at the first part of this meeting last week. There's a list attached to your agenda entitled Poll Worker Appointments for the 2021 general election. We are requesting that the board move to approve the individuals on this list to serve in the named election districts in the named positions for the November 2nd, 2021 general election and for that election only.
Okay, thank you. I will make a motion that the people whose names are set forth on the attached document titled Poll Worker Appointments for the 2021 general election as non-elected poll workers are designated to serve as members of the various local boards of elections throughout Montgomery County for the date of the general election, November 2nd, 2021 only. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Arkoosh. Is there any board comment or questions? Okay, and there's no public comment, so hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Motion passes. Appointment of Canvas Board. Sawyer.
Section 3146.8 of the Election Code states that the Board of Elections is to conduct the pre-canvass and canvass of votes cast via mail-in and absentee ballots. Mail-in and absentee ballots. The code gives the board the authority to delegate their responsibilities to representatives authorized to act on the board's behalf. You've been provided a document titled Canvas Board Appointments for the 2021 general election, and I am requesting that the board approve the people named on that list to serve as the Canvas Board for the purpose of canvassing the mail-in and absentee ballots cast in the 2021 municipal general election.
Thank you. I will make a motion to appoint the names set forth on the attached document titled Canvas Board Appointments for the 2021 general election to work as members of the mail-in and absentee ballot Canvas Board to assist in the computation of the general election held on November 2nd, 2021. Is there a second?
A second.
By Dr. Arkoosh. Is there any board comment? Okay, and there's no public comment, so we'll move on to the vote. Are there any negative votes? Motion passes. Appointment of election tabulators. Ms. Sawyer.
The election board is given the authority to appoint qualified individuals to serve as election tabulators by the Pennsylvania Election Code. There is a list attached to your agenda entitled Tabulation Board Appointments for the 2021 general election. We are requesting that the board move to approve the individuals on this list to serve as election tabulators for the November 2nd, 2021 general election and for this election only.
I will make a motion to appoint the names set forth on the attached document titled Election Tabulator Appointments for the 2021 general election to work as members of the Election Tabulation Board to assist in the computation of the general election held on November 2nd, 2021. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Arkoosh. Is there any board comment? And no public comment, so we'll move on to the vote. Are there any negative votes? Motion passes. Authorization of county employees to be appointed to the canvass and provisional boards.
Section 3050 of the Election Code states that in the days following the election, the Board of Elections shall examine provisional ballot envelopes to determine if the individual voting the provisional ballot is entitled to have that ballot counted. Section 3146.8 of the Election Code states that the Board of Elections is to conduct the pre-canvass and canvass of votes cast via mail-in and absentee ballots. The code gives the board the authority to delegate the responsibilities to representatives authorized to act on the board's behalf. You've been provided a document titled County Employees for the 2021 general election, and I am requesting that the board vote to approve the people named on that list to serve as the provisional board and additional canvass board members for the 2021 general election for the purpose of examining and making determinations as to what provisional ballots may be counted and for the purpose of canvassing the mail-in and absentee ballots cast in the 2021 municipal general election.
I will make a motion to authorize employees on the attached list of individuals titled County Employees for the 2021 general election to be appointed to work as members of the mail-in and absentee ballot canvass board, provisional board, and tabulation board to assist in the computation of the November 2nd, 2021 general election. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Arkoosh. Any board comment? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Motion passes. Final agenda item, authorization to include misprinted ballots into the official election results.
On October 1st, we were made aware that our printing vendor had mailed 15,436 ballots to Montgomery County residents that were printed incorrectly. Efforts were made to reach the impacted voters by email, phone, newspaper articles, television news appearances, and website updates, and corrected ballots containing an explanation were issued in a timely manner. While we received thousands of the corrected ballots, we also received several hundred ballots that we believe to be misprinted. The universe of misprinted one-sided ballots are currently being sequestered and stored separately from other absentee and mail-in ballots. Once the canvass board is certain that these voters did not cast a ballot by any other means, we are requesting permission to include these ballots into the 2021 general election returns. John Marlett from the Solicitor's Office is here to provide the legal foundation for our request, so I will turn it over to him.
Good afternoon. As Ms. Sawyer has briefly laid out for the board, there is a question as to whether ballots that were distributed with only one side having been printed and then returned by voters should be counted. There's support in the Pennsylvania Election Code and case law for including one-sided ballots, as well as support in doing so from several interested parties. Both state and federal courts have recognized a long-standing and overriding policy in this Commonwealth to protect the elective franchise, and that ordinarily the election code should be construed liberally in favor of the right to vote. And what we're looking at here is a subset of electors who have only returned a one-sided ballot, and a vote in favor of including these ballots in the canvass would protect the elective franchise and the right of these electors to vote. In addition to what courts have recognized, there are sections of the code that don't speak directly to this type of situation, but are analogous, such as the way we award partial provisional ballot credit to electors who cast provisional ballots outside the precinct they reside in. This further supports a decision to include the ballots in question in the canvass. And finally, this is similar to a situation faced by another county in the 2020 general election. In their case, a number of electors were sent incorrect ballots. Litigation was initiated as a result of that, and a federal court judge approved a process in which ballots with partial votes could be counted if it was found that the voter did not cast another ballot in the election, which is the process that has been proposed in our case. This process has been shared with our local parties as well as representatives from the Department of State. And everyone we have spoken with is in agreement that the method we have in place is acceptable and that these ballots should be counted when we have verified that the people who returned them have not voted by any other manner. Generally, support for including these ballots in the count exists in the election code, case law, recent court-approved actions, and as I said, we have agreement from local parties and the Department of State. And should the board vote to include these ballots, it would be a permissible and appropriate action.
I will make a motion to authorize the canvass board to canvass timely returned one-sided ballots for the November 2nd, 2021 general election when a voter has not returned a corrected mail-in or absentee ballot and has not been given credit for voting in person or by provisional ballot. Is there a second?
I will second.
Second by Dr. Arkoosh. Mr. Merlette, so this would be no different than if someone just didn't vote the backside of the ballot, just in general. It's just like an undervote.
Yeah, absolutely correct. We would treat it the same way, yes.
And what was the situation in Allegheny County?
In Allegheny County, people were mailed ballots that did not necessarily coincide with the precinct that they lived in. So some of the top of the ballot races that they would have voted for were existing in their precincts, but some of the lower ones were for others. So what they did is they went through and looked at ballots that the voters were eligible to vote for on those ballots and counted those races.
Well, I always feel that we should lean in favor of counting votes, and this is an error that the voters had not of their making at all. So I will be voting in favor of this measure. Is there any other board comment?
Yes, I just have a question, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Marlotter, Ms. Sawyer, could you just briefly explain how we will be certain that any of these individuals did not cast a vote by another means?
Sure. What we have done is we have pulled these ballots and they have been segregated to one-sided ballots. We're also segregating any person who was initially sent a one-sided ballot and then was also sent a corrected ballot and returned the corrected ballot. And what we'll do is after Election Day, before we canvass any of this universe of people who received both ballots, we'll scan all of our poll books. So we update the state SURE system to accurately reflect whether or not a person showed up and voted at their polling location and was given credit for that. And when the poll books have all been scanned and updated, we can go back in and we can compare all of the returned two-sided ballots against the poll book scans, and anybody who was given credit for voting at their polling place in person will have their mail-in ballot polled and not included in the canvas. We are also going to canvass all of our provisional ballots before we look at the one-sided ballots. And in the case that we have anyone who's given credit for a provisional or is otherwise being given credit for voting in person at the polling place, if the only ballot that they have returned is this one-sided ballot, if that is the only record that we have, we will count the one-sided ballot. But if our SURE system, after scanning poll books and after running through all of our provisionals and awarding them appropriate credit, if the SURE system reflects that a person voted by one of those methods, then we'll exclude the one-sided ballot from the count.
Got it. Okay, thank you very much.
Any other board comments? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Hearing none, motion passes. Final board comments. Ms. Sawyer, please just express our appreciation to voter services. I know that the weekend before Election Day is a very long weekend. This will be a very long day. It'll be a very long day tomorrow. So please express our appreciation to everyone and our appreciation to you as well. Any other board comments? All right, hearing none, I will make a motion to adjourn the November 1st, 2021 meeting of the Montgomery County Board of Elections. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Arkoosh. Is there any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Hearing none, motion passes, meeting adjourned.